It's one thing to have the success. It's one thing to have the multi-seven-figure company. That's great. But if you don't have the quality of life on the back end of that, in my mind, it's just not worth it.
Don't think about the how. Think about the what and the why. What do you want and why do you want it? And if we could just suspend how you're going to get it.
If you could have anything in the world, what would that look like? Start writing it down. Get your journal out. Start to think about what it is that freedom looks like for you.
There are 5 key things that people are after, and we call it the 5 freedoms framework. And the very first one is what we call welcome to Coaching by the Beach, where we help you materialize the vision you have for your business, your life, your family, and the world. I'm Trevor McGregor, Master Coach.
And I'm Leesa McGregor, international best-selling author, speaker, and entrepreneur. Together, we've built an 8-figure empire, and we've broken free from the ordinary to lead lives of extraordinary freedom, impact, and fulfillment. And now we're here to guide you to do the same.
If you've been searching for more success, more wealth, and more freedom, tune in and let's embark on this journey together. We had so many people asking us, why have you named this podcast Coaching by the Beach?
Well, it's so interesting when I really think about why we've called this Coaching by the Beach. This is all about creating an extraordinary life, a level of freedom that you never thought was possible. That's really what we want this podcast to be about. It's about freedom. It's about creating that financial freedom, that time freedom, that location freedom, relationship freedom, impact freedom. Do what you want. Live your life on your terms. Now, when I really think back to why we decided to start Coaching by the Beach, it started for us from a very early age. Now, it's an interesting story. Trevor and I actually spent my 20s traveling around the world, and little did I know that I was going to meet this guy who was from my hometown in Canada. Now, just to put this into perspective, where we grew up in Canada, it was freezing cold. We're talking 6 months of snow every year. And when I realized, growing up, when I think back to my parents, they enjoyed, we had a good family life. We were a middle-class family, lived in a good neighborhood, had everything we needed. And at the same time, my parents did not enjoy the weather. They were always trying to escape the weather. And so my dad loved California. He was always talking about California. We had National Geographic magazines in our house, and my dad was always talking about these exotic places like Australia and going and spending time in the sun. And I remember the first trip my parents did took us on a big trip, and that was to see the ocean. Now, just to put this into perspective again, we grew up in the middle of Canada, okay? So freezing cold prairies. I was 12 years old the first time that I saw the ocean. And I think back and I go, wow, that was so incredible to see the ocean for the first time, to grow up in the middle of a big landmass and then to actually see the ocean. That was the most unbelievable experience I could have had at that time. And I think that really planted a seed, and I saw my parents when they were their happiest. They were happy when they were in the sun. And my mom loved Hawaii and my dad loved Mexico. And so there was this theme growing up. It was let's chase the sun. And I realized as I got older, I started to think about, well, where can I travel in the world, And so I started to go to these sunny places, these sunny destinations. And I realized that was where I was happiest as well. And I say to this day that I'm like a solar panel. I need sun. I need to charge myself in the sun. And so when I met Trevor, I was sharing that passion with him. I was how cool would it be to live life and have an endless summer? And at the time, when we were in our corporate jobs, we didn't think that was possible. We didn't think it was possible that we could create an endless summer. We could travel and be wherever we want and live wherever we want in the world. And, again, at that time, that was a wild idea. But now looking back, I realized that was all by design. And so we started to write in our journals years ago when we first met. We were like, okay, that's it. How can we create an endless summer? How can we create our lives in such a way where we get to enjoy beautiful sunshine all year round? And I can tell you that it might take you a while to figure out how to make it happen. If this resonates with you, if some of our listeners are like, yes, I would love an endless summer, I'm going to tell you how to do it, okay? Step 1, write down, I want to live an endless summer. And then once you've written step 1, write down, I want to live an endless summer, then just start to dream about it. Start thinking about it. And for us, what we realized when we wanted an endless summer was, well, we've got to start creating it. And so we started to do these home exchanges in beautiful, sunny locations. And some of these home exchanges were life-changing. I mean, we went away, we spent a lot of time in Australia, we spent time in Hawaii, we went to Europe, we went to all these beautiful places. And when we spent 2 to 3 months at a time in these places, we really got a feel for what that was like. And so we got to a point where we were literally escaping the winter every year, weren't we? It was like, as soon as the rain or the snow came, we were like, okay, we're gone. We're out of here. And so we started to design our lives in a way where we could spend 3 months at a time away from home, away from the cold. And then we decided, after spending all this time away, we were like, okay, what can we do to take this to the next level? Like, endless summer would be literally an endless summer. That means having summer all year round. And so 2 years ago, we made the biggest move of our lives to a tropical paradise. We actually decided, we had the courage to pack our bags, to sell our house, and move to the other side of the world, to be in a place that we love the most. And I can tell you that was life-changing for us. And we spend our time now, like I look back and I go fast forward, right? Like growing up, shoveling snow, freezing cold, not enjoying the weather, trying to escape the weather. Now it's like, wow. I mean, it's winter time where we live and we're walking the beach. We just went for a swim in the ocean this weekend. We were in there for an hour on Saturday. Never in my wildest dreams did I think that this was possible? Did I think that it was possible? I thought it was a cool idea at the time. And now we're living an endless summer. You know, it's like we're deciding where we want to spend time every year. We're designing the next trip, the next plan. And I can't tell you enough, like the feeling that it gives me to realize that we've created this for ourselves. And I don't think we could ever go back to living in the snow. And I want to just pass it over to you, sweetheart. What do you want to talk about what do you want to add to that as far as, that vision to creating, that plan, that idea, that dream, and making it happen? What would you like to speak to that?
Well, I absolutely love that. And what I love about it is we literally said, we know what we don't want, and we got clear on what we do want. So if we could do it for travel, and we could do it for our careers, and we could do it for our children, it kind of opened up a new way of thinking and a new way of behaving that really gave us tremendous joy and clarity. So we'll still visit some of the snow places, because from time to time, who doesn't like snow? But, I think everybody that's listening to this, really, when you think back to your happiest times as a kid, a teenager, maybe you've had the opportunity to travel a little bit, you probably were in the surf and the sand. There were probably a few palm trees blowing in the breeze. And I want you to feel the feelings of what that would be like, because Leesa and I love hosting retreats and masterminds and coaching all over this beautiful blue planet, where you'll have the opportunity, as we go further into our story and what we're doing with couples just like you, or high performance individuals or entrepreneurs, to join us in some of the most breathtaking locations on the planet, because that's where we want to be. And we know that that's where people want to be. And it's almost like, how would you feel if you could go on a vacation and come back a better person? I mean, what would that feel like, right? Because this isn't about going to one of these stuffy ballrooms where, for 15 hours a day, you jam yourself with personal growth, and then you're exhausted and you want a vacation when you come back from your vacation. You know how that feels, Lise? Well, this is about life by design. And again, we absolutely have loved hosting people here in Australia. We've done this in Bali. We're doing it in Majorca, the Maldives. I mean, any other locations that you want to chime in with, because again, Coaching by the Beach isn't just a name, it's really an essence. How would you speak to that?
It's an essence, it's a lifestyle, and maybe I can share a little bit of the story about really how Coaching by the Beach came to be as well. So we took a holiday with our family to Thailand last year, and we started to think about how amazing it felt when we went on a holiday to a resort, like a beautiful beach resort. And for Trevor and I, a holiday for us is about recharging, reconnecting with ourselves, getting inspired again. Most of the time we go somewhere, we want to find a beautiful beach location, and we want to just spend time, listening to inspiring podcasts, as an example, reading books, and really journaling and getting clear on the next level vision. And that's what it's always been for us. We've always gone to these sunny destinations to really get clear about what that next level is. And we love spending time in beautiful, breathtaking destinations. I actually wrote that in my journal. I was like, okay, we need to spend more time in beautiful, breathtaking destinations. And so here we are in Thailand, and we're staying in this resort. And I said to Trevor, I said, you know, what if we were to spend more time doing this? Like, this is so fun, right? We're pretty well at this point allergic to Groundhog Day. Like, we just do not like Groundhog Day. We don't want to do the traditional 9 to 5 work, come home, all this stuff. Even running a business can be Groundhog Day. And we wanted to really have, this is a phase of life for us where we want to have a lot of fun and adventure and really inspire others and give them that opportunity as well. So we're sitting in Thailand having this conversation at this beach resort, and we're like, why don't we do this for more people? Why don't we create a business where we can help other people to have this experience, have this holiday? And Trevor was like, okay, let's do it. Let's create Coaching by the Beach. Now, what's interesting is that Trevor and I have been working with clients from around the world. And of course, most of our work is done remotely. It's done over the phone. And we were like, wow, how cool would it be to bring people together to have this holiday experience where we go on retreat together, we work on our life design, we work on our vision, our life plan in a beautiful, breathtaking destination. So that's really the intention behind this show. We want to be showing you what's possible. And we've seen some of the most beautiful, breathtaking nature locations. I mean, even just this last trip we went on, we were in Mexico, we were in Hawaii. Like Trevor said, we were recently in Bali, and there's just so much beauty to be experienced around the world. And I realize as entrepreneurs, we can actually fall into the same trap of working too much, to being in that pattern of stress, that pattern of anxiety and overwhelm. And the problem with it is we spend all this time and energy and courage to create a business, start a business in the first place. And then when we find ourselves in that position where it's like we're working all the time, it's just grinding. There's never really time to really think about anything other than work. And we've both been there ourselves. And I think that's something that we should really be talking about as well as we share more of our why for Coaching by the Beach, because we know that all too well. I always tell the story that when Trevor and I got to the pinnacle, our companies were making so much money. And the year that we made the most money in our businesses was quite interesting, because when we got to the end of the year and we got through and we looked at our financial statements, the accountants had prepared everything, and we looked at our revenue and we were like, oh my gosh, head was spinning. We've made this much money. But guess what? Our health took a hit. Our time, we just had no time. We were tired. We were tapped out. That was not the most fulfilling year of our lives. It was exhausting, quite frankly. And I looked at Trevor and I said to him, I don't think we're doing it right. I don't think that this is how it's supposed to feel. If, again, we're supposed to be so successful, why do we feel this way? Why do we feel tapped out? Why do we feel tired, exhausted? Why do we have so much stress? And I realized, okay, that's it. Line in the sand. Literally, again, proverbial line in the sand, like Coaching by the Beach. I said, we're going to change things up. We've got to do things differently. As entrepreneurs, it's one thing to have the success. It's one thing to have the multi-7-figure company. That's great. But if you don't have the quality of life on the back end of that, then in my mind, it's just not worth it. And so we really set ourselves on a journey of saying, okay, what is it that we need to do to create an extraordinary quality of life? We wanted quality of life. We didn't just want the money. The money is great, but the money is the vehicle for you to have that quality of life. And that's the thing that we figured out. There's a sweet spot. There's a sweet spot between having enough money, having enough time to enjoy it, having that quality of life. And sweetheart, maybe you can talk a little bit about that. I mean, you've worked with so many people. You've worked with high-level entrepreneurs, executives, high net worth individuals. You've done this work for years. And we had these conversations behind the scenes. It's like a lot of people reach that level of success, that financial success, but they don't have the quality of life. So I'd love to hear more about what you want to say about that piece.
Well, yeah, and it comes back to what we call the 5 freedom framework, because after working with so many different people around the planet, and again, not everyone has a straight line to success. It feels more like a roller coaster. You go up, you go down, there's a loop-de-loop, you think you're going to fall out, right? But then as you get up, you dust yourself off and you keep on keeping on. You get to that point in life where you go, what do I really, 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 really want? And that's where, after working with 40,000 people all over the planet and coaching with Tony Robbins and being in hospitality and being in real estate, I figured out that there are really 5 key things that people are after. And we call it the 5 freedoms framework. And the very first one is what we call financial freedom. It's like, okay, let's get this money thing handled. How much do you want to have? How much are you currently making? How much would you like to be making? How many different streams of income do you have? Right? Because there's, that old saying that success leaves clues, and you don't have to figure it out on your own, but you need to get clear on what that feels like. So that's number one. Any comments on that before we go to 2, 3, 4, and 5?
Yeah, I think financial freedom, again, we'll be diving into this in more episodes. We're going to talk very specifically. I mean, we don't want to give you platitudes. We don't want to talk about create more money, create more success. We want to give you specifics. It's like, how much passive income do you want? How much active income do you want? How much do you want in your investments? What is your financial freedom number? Like, what does that look like? And how much is enough as well? That's something we had to realize as we're playing this game at a high level. We were like, okay, how much is enough? Like, do you want to keep going for more money, or do you want to go for an extraordinary quality of life? And that's the piece I keep coming back to. It's like, you need the money. The money is a vehicle, but you also need the quality of life. And so that's the one piece I really want to speak to.
Very good. And that takes us to number 2, which is time freedom. Because once you've got financial freedom, now you can really buy back some of your time. You can delegate or hire things out to other people so that you can stay in your zone of genius and do what you want, when you want, with whom you want, for whatever reason you want. So again, when you have financial freedom and time freedom, that's when whole new possibilities start to open up.
Absolutely. And time freedom for me is about having freedom to be fully self-expressed, to have creative agency in your life, right? And decide how much time you want to work. Now, for me, I got to the place where we're very proud to say we've created a level of freedom in our lives that was never possible. I wake up in the morning and I get to decide exactly what I want to do in my day. That is an absolute privilege. And I realized that even with that choice, with that freedom of choice, I still want to work. I still want to contribute. I still want to do meaningful work. And so I've just gotten clear on like, how many days a week do I want to work, and the days that I don't want to work, the days I want to spend time with family, or the days where we're really decided this is just holiday time. This is what we're doing for our family. So it's really about getting clear, like, what does time freedom look like for you? And I know for myself, as a high achiever, as a woman who's built a multi-7-figure company. Now, I'm not going to tell you that that was easy, because I was at a point at one point where I was doing everything. And that was exhausting. And I had to learn so much from that experience that you cannot do everything yourself. You have to get to a point where you delegate. You have to get to a point where you've got a team and you've got people that you can rely on. And we'll be talking more about this in future episodes. But time freedom is really about designing your time. It's designing how much time do you want to work? How much time do you want to lead others? How much time do you want for yourself? And now I'm at a point, I'm in a stage in life where I want to take really good care of my health. I want to spend as much time as possible with our family. We've got our little guy, he's 8. He's growing up fast. We want to spend time with him. And so for me, it's this constant iteration of, what am I doing with my time, and how do I design it in such a way that it feels really good, that I'm living my ideal day every single day. That's the thing I'm most passionate about, is create that day that you really want to live and start living that every single day. So that's on time freedom.
I love it. Yeah, you speak to that beautifully. And that takes us to number 3, which is location freedom. Because once you've got financial freedom and time freedom, now you can get on an airplane. Now you can get in the car, you can get on a train or a bus and go somewhere you've always wanted to go, whether that's in North America or South America, that's Europe, that's Asia, or even as far away as Australia, where we are. Imagine what your life would be like if you really got crystal clear on what's on your bucket list, what's a must for you. What about your spouse? What about your kids? What about your siblings? Or maybe you've got aging parents. Because I'm telling you, we believe that we'd rather give people experiences through seeing all of the different places on the world and all the different cultures and the food than anything else. How would you speak to that one?
When it comes to location freedom, I will say that for some of the listeners, you might feel like that's not possible for you. You might have a business in a particular location, you're running a team, you're running staff. Don't rule it out. Certainly do not rule it out. I think back to some of your client stories. Some of these people, they were chained to their business, absolutely chained to the business, and they have created a level of freedom now where they get to spend time in places all around the world. It's entirely possible. And that's something we had to decide early on. The corporate life that we had didn't allow us to do that. We did not have location freedom. But of course, the world has changed. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity now for you to decide where to work and where you want to spend your time. And I know for myself, after spending so much time at the beach, I have to tell you, I'm really not that interested in sitting in front of my laptop very much anymore. If I'm doing some focused work, I'm happy to sit down in front of the laptop. But for the most part, I run my business from my phone. My team can contact me through the phone. When I'm at the beach, if I want to sit there and have a strategic planning session in the sand, I can do that now. And so location freedom, again, is about getting clear. What is it that you want as far as the freedom to work anywhere you want in the world? And again, back to what you want to be doing as well. But it's really about getting clear on what that vision is. And I know for me, that vision is absolutely no more than 1 to 2 hours a day in front of a laptop. In fact, sometimes Trevor will ask me, like, are you ever going to open your computer again? And I'm like, not this week. I find a way to run my business in other ways. So I really invite you to think about that. Like, what is truly possible for you? And I can assure you that from wherever you're starting, just start thinking about what that looks like for you. Just start planting that seed. Write it down. What is it that you would, if you could have anything with respect to location freedom, what would that be?
Beautiful. And that takes us to number 4, which is freedom of impact, right? Freedom of impact. That is, how do you want to impact this beautiful planet? Who would you like to impact? How would you impact them? Because once you have financial freedom, the time freedom, and the location freedom, or the ability to go anywhere you want, you can start to work with charities or groups or people that are near and dear to your heart. And that's something that we love doing, because there's a special individual, there's a power couple, there's an entrepreneur that we really resonate with. And that's, again, why Coaching by the Beach exists. We want to help more people realize that it's not just what can we do for ourselves, but how can we impact others.
Yeah, the impact piece is, again, something that we'll be going through in future episodes, but impact is really like my number one thing. That's the thing I'm most passionate about. It's like you can make money and you can make a difference. And I set out to prove that. It took me 10 years to figure it out, how to make money and make a difference. And I can tell you, it is the most fulfilling and rewarding work. I mean, starting a children's education company, writing a children's book, becoming a best-selling author. I'll be telling more about that story. That was something that I couldn't possibly have imagined for myself 20 years ago. And it started again with a vision. It started with a vision for wanting to make a meaningful impact. And I know that most of us as entrepreneurs, that's what's truly in our heart. We want to make a meaningful difference in the world. We want to leave a dent, as Steve Jobs would say. And I think that it's important that we start to give ourselves time and space to think about what that impact looks like. Now, I know for myself, and Trevor laughs because I'm in my 40s and I'm like, I have got a lot of work to do in this lifetime. I had a vision years ago that I wanted to create meaningful impact in so many areas. I wanted to impact education. I wanted to impact health. I wanted to impact food, water, energy, healthcare, education. Like I just get so excited about being part of the solution. I get excited about building companies that really make a difference in the world, that contribute to the health and the well-being of people and the planet. And I'm just sharing a little tidbit with you right now, but I'm telling you that whole impact freedom piece is so exciting to me because that's the fuel. Like if you want to keep going, if you want to keep growing, impact is your vehicle. Finding a way to make a meaningful impact in the world and knowing that you can do that in so many different ways. It can come in different forms. And I can't say enough about that. And impact freedom is really about having the freedom to decide where to channel your creative expression. Creative freedom. It's deciding what it is that you want to do with your creative power. And like I said, we'll be talking more about that, but we'll go into the fifth element here, and then we'll circle back.
Well, that's awesome. And again, number 5 is freedom of relationships, not freedom from, but freedom of, where, when you get to a certain level, you want to hang around with more like-minded people that are playing at a higher level, people that are driven, people that really want to go out there and suck the juice out of every life opportunity that's in front of them. So again, Lisa and I have had the unique opportunity to be in some pretty amazing rooms of Fortune 500 executives, entrepreneurs, people, again, who are in the community of real estate and many different, VCs and oh my gosh, there's just so many people that we could probably, tap and say thank you for some insight. Because as you take a little bit from this person, a little bit from this, and a little this, you stand on the shoulders of giants. But there's something about being in better rooms, bigger rooms, people that really, really are here to play full out.
I would say there's something about being in the energy of people who really celebrate and support you. It's finding like minds. It's finding big thinkers, high achievers, people that really have a vision and really celebrating that. I mean, we had some friends over this weekend, and it's so delightful to be in the company of people who are on a similar journey to you. They want the most out of life. They want to reach their fullest potential. They want to live their best life. They want to learn and grow. And if you can find a group of people that you can do that with, I can tell you there's nothing more exciting and fulfilling. And it's just like, we were on cloud nine this weekend. It's like when you feel seen and heard and understood by a fellow person that is like-minded, like-hearted as well, like whatever it is that's in your heart. We're here to make a contribution, to be of service to the world in some way. That's really what I think about when I think about my tribe, when I think about attracting my tribe. And again, that goes back to why we're starting this, right? We want to bring more people together, impact-driven entrepreneurs. We want to give you a home and a place where you get to connect with other like minds. We've reached a point in our lives where we want to support people that are like us, right? People who want to make a difference, people who want to live their best lives, who want that level of freedom, that level of impact. And I tell you, there are more people like us out there in the world than you could possibly imagine. We just need to find each other. And so again, that's what we're doing. That's why we're doing this show. We want to connect to each other, and we want to give you an experience and an opportunity to connect with other like minds. That's really it.
I love it. And so to recap there, we've got the financial freedom, the time freedom, the relationship freedom, the impact freedom, and the ability to travel this beautiful world and have that location freedom. So as we get ready to wrap today, Leesa, we're ready for the 3 to Thrive. Yes, we like to ask 3 inspiring and compelling questions at the end of every show. Let's kick it off with number 1.
I think the number 1 question is, if you could wave your magic wand, what does freedom look like to you? What does time freedom look like to you? What does money freedom look like? Those are the 2 big ones, time and money freedom, right? So if you could have anything in the world with respect to time and money freedom, what would that look like? Start writing it down. Get your journal out. Start to think about what it is that freedom looks like for you. Now, I'll give you a couple of ideas. Like for me, freedom now it's not just about time and money freedom. It's about freedom of adventure as well. One of the things I realized with my son is that I want him to have a different education. I want him to have an education where the world is his classroom. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about that in future episodes, but we've made a decision to do world schooling. In fact, we're going to be taking our son around the world with a group of incredible like-minded families, and we're going to have the experience of a lifetime. And so again, that was me asking the question, if I could wave my magic wand, what does freedom look like for me at this level? And I will speak to more of this in the coming episodes, but this is really about freedom. I looked at my son being in an education system, educating him, and I realized we want Max to have the same level of freedom that we have in our lives. We want him to have the world as his classroom. And so we'll be talking again more about that, but that's really the piece. It's like, what does that level of freedom look like to you? That's the first thing we really want you to think about.
That's awesome. And question 2.
Question two is, when you think about freedom of relationship, think about the people that you love to spend time with. Who are those people, and what are the qualities of those people? Like, what is it that you like about those people? What is it that you enjoy about spending time with those people? So it is the example of our friends that came over this weekend. We can talk about possibility all day long with our friends. We talk about what's possible. We don't talk about what's not possible. Sometimes we'll, talk about some challenges that are going on, but ultimately the conversation is structured around, what is it that we want to create? What are we creating? If we could do anything, what would that be? And really seeing each other, seeing each other for who we are, seeing each other in our highest light. And so I really invite you to think about that as far as relationships. What kinds of relationships do you ideally want to have in your life? That's a really important piece.
I love it. And that takes us to the final of the 3 to Thrive. Question number 3.
I'll leave that to you.
Well, in my mind, question 3 is don't think about the how, think about the what and the why, right? So in the form of a question, what do you want and why do you want it? And if we could just suspend how you're going to get it, that's when the real wheels start to turn and you start to have what we call the rocket fuel of the juice in that why that starts to propel you forward, right? If there's no rocket fuel or juice, what moves the rocket forward? Nothing. And that's why we say, if you can get crystal clear on thinking, what do I want? Why do I want it? And again, suspend that how, you're definitely moving in the right direction. I want to thank everyone for tuning in today. There's just no question that we're all here on purpose and with purpose, and we're ready to help you take things to a whole new level. Leesa, any final words?
Peace, love, and palm trees.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you for joining us today at Coaching by the Beach. If this episode helps you to see your path to more success, more wealth, freedom, and fulfillment, we'd love your support.
Remember to subscribe on your favorite platform.
Leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
And don't let your journey stop here. Connect with us in our community of like-minded achievers on all social platforms at Coaching by the Beach.
We're excited to continue exploring this path to freedom with you.